Greetings, ladies and gentlefish, and in this video I thought I'd bring you a couple of my games driving stock tank destroyers. Now, a couple of caveats here, or one big fat caveat I guess. When I say stock, you have to bear in mind that I've played quite a lot of battles in this game at this point, and I've ground up, well, every line to some extent, with the exception of the Japanese heavy line, the British second tank destroyer line, and the Czechoslovakian medium line, or the only Czechoslovakian line, because I haven't got round to doing much with them yet, but I will do. My point is that at this stage in the game, I've unlocked enough machines that, generally speaking, I have at least a module or two that carries over from maybe another tank in another tech line of the same nation. So when I say stock games, I usually mean games where my tank is not fully upgraded, and usually I'm running a kind of cruddy crew as well. So we're kicking off proceedings with the T28 prototype. First thing to note, my crew is something around the 94-95% mark. It's of course my T25/2 crew have been retrained for the prototype, and the retraining knocked them down to 90% because on their primary qualification, because I retrain for credits, etc. And the other thing to note is that what modules do and don't I have on this? Well, basically, I don't have anything. Hello, Mr. Tiger 2. Go for the lower front plate. I don't have the suspension. I don't have the engine, so this is the stock engine. But I do have one of the guns because I specifically played the Tier 7 T25 AT, which is in the non-turreted tank destroyer line, in order to unlock the 105mm gun, so that I wouldn't have to play this tank with the 90mm gun from the T25/2. That was a very intentional move on my part. So you can see there I've landed one shot for 327. Now, you may also notice I am currently in this game running XVM. For those of you, some of you may have seen the video, some of you may not. I'm running a newbie account experiment, basically. I've started a second account, and on that account, I'm grinding it up completely free to play. And so I'm not putting a single penny into it, and I'm trying to get an experience, remind myself of what it's like to be a complete fung. And part of that, a complete newbie, part of that, it was suggested to me that I could test whether the Wargaming's newbie matchmaking protection thing is actually working. Hello, Mr. Tiger 2. And so basically I have, for a couple of patches now, had XVM installed for the purpose, I don't know why he's not paying attention to me, and I get my gun damaged, for the purpose of keeping a record of the number of games played by everyone in these matches. And so I'm going to try and, as I say, test to see if this newbie matchmaking is, this new player protection bit of the matchmaker is actually working. And so that's the reason I have XVM installed. Once I have completed that, and I think I've now got enough games recorded across patches 9.12 and 9.13, so I think I've now reached the stage where the next time there's a patch comes out, I won't be installing XVM. Or at least, because there's a couple of features of XVM I do actually like. So things, for example, like I can expand the minimap in the bottom right larger than I can in the standard World of Tanks client. Because my screen is a funky resolution, the standard client doesn't let me expand that minimap very much, and so I can get it a bit bigger with XVM, as XVM overrides that limitation. But if I do install XVM, I certainly won't be running it for all these player stats and all that nonsense. Anyway, while I've been rambling on, action has been happening in the background. We got off to a really bad start. I think the scoreline was 1-5 at some point. We've managed to claw this back. And I am top tier, bear in mind here. Top tier and inner city, which is kind of where the T28 likes to be in my mind. So although we're using the small gun, we've currently racked up 2,454 damage across the 8 hits that we have accumulated. We've taken a little bit of damage so far from a Super Pershing, but it's nothing really major. Although you do have to bear in mind, of course, the T28 prototype being a tank destroyer. Hello, Mr. T54. Oh, it was a miss. This gun is not very accurate. None of the guns on this tank are very accurate. Being a tank destroyer, the T28 prototype doesn't get a lot of health to work with. So we bounce the Super Pershing there and put a shot into him. Realistically, if he wants to penetrate me from the front, he needs to load some APCR. And I'm just seeing if that prototype, sorry, if that T-54 Mod 1 is going to cross my field of view, but apparently not. And on this tank, I believe at the time when I'm playing this, I'm running my standard equipment setup. Which is rammer, vents, no, that's a lie. It can't take vents at the moment. Rammer, coated optics, and repair kit. Can't take vents because it's an open-topped vehicle. You can see the lack of roof on the turret. Should point out, in patch 9.14, this tank is getting a bit of love. It's being given, among other things, a fully enclosed turret roof, so you will suddenly be able to take vents, which will be nice. So I will take them when I can. T69 over there really should have backed off far further, but T69's armor profile makes absolutely no sense. Seriously, if you look at it, there are some it's like a jigsaw puzzle. There are some bits that are made of paper, and then next to it there'll be a section that's 300mm of effective armor, and you look at it and go, what? So yeah, I'm shooting at that thing's a lottery, really. And after our poor start, we've managed to claw this game back a bit. So the scoreline is now 9-8, and I'm currently at 2,782 damage done that we know of, and I don't think I've taken any blind shots. So going back over this way, and you can see, I mean, this is with the stock suspension and the stock engine, but even when you have the fully upgraded engine, this tank is painfully slow. Lucky bounce from the IS-3 there, he really didn't aim that shot very well. Now, on the one hand, I would love to push around there and get another shot off on him. On the other, magic Russian side armor. On the other hand, I'm so slow. Oh, this is bad. I'm so slow that that guy would probably have been able to screw me over before I'd been able to do so. Now, this is bad. T28 Prototype has a turret, but it's not fully rotatable. It can't shoot over the engine deck at the back. And taking shots in your rear is never good. The frontal armor on this tank is not bad. Oh dear. But the rest of the armor leaves a little bit to be desired. IS-3 is not a complete scrub. He comes up behind me, takes the long way round, puts a shot into me bum, and that's me dead, unfortunately. T28 Prototype that gets itself surrounded, that's alone, gets outflanked and surrounded really quickly, and is generally not long for this world. Just going to speed this replay up a little bit. Whee! It's 4 plays 4 at the moment. WZ131 just nailed their prototype, and we just lost our WZ. I mean, it's a fairly close game. The enemy tanks don't have a lot of health between them. This Mod 1 is a one-shot for a lot of guys. Two-shot for the Type 59, to be fair to him. But the Mod 1 is now dead. And that just leaves the Rheinmetall Borsig over there, who is not going to be long for this world. So my efforts there were rewarded with First Class Mastery, Bruiser, and Fire for Effect awards. We were top tier, but then again, as I say, our crew wasn't the best, and we're not fully upgraded. We got second highest damage count in the game, just behind our Borsig, who racked up almost 4,000 damage and got a top gun, so well done to him. We got that 3,408 damage, 1 kill, and 1,062 base experience. 16 shots fired, 14 hits, 11 pens for that damage count. We blocked 1,500 damage with our armor. Bounced 7 shots there. 5 enemy tanks damaged, 1 of them killed, and got a little bit of assistance damage into the bargain. Now, the gun is not the cheapest to run. It's 1,000 credits every time you pull the trigger, and we did get a couple of misses and bounces. So, but with a premium account, we still made a 23,000 credit profit. And that ended up being a fairly decent game all around. So, that is the T28 Prototype. As I say, that was a kind of air quotes stock game. And you might find it interesting because the T28 Prototype, as I mentioned, in the next patch, patch 9.14, is getting a bit of wargaming styled love. So you might look at it or re-look at it as a tank you may or may not want to consider getting for yourself. Anyway, that's the first game of this video. Let's move on to the second. Here we are with the second game then. Again, as I said, these are both going to be stock, air quotes, games in tank destroyers. So this is the JPanther German Tier 7 TD. Now I should probably qualify what I mean by stock in this particular instance. So the radios, not that anyone really cares, but I'd unlocked the radios at some point. I mean, radios are often shared between a bunch of different machines. I'd previously played the Panther, as some of you will be aware, so I had all of the engines already unlocked. And I specifically played the Nashorn first, so that I would have the L71 88mm gun for this tank. It's basically the same gun you get in this game on the Tiger, and historically it was the gun used on the Tiger 2. So what do I actually have to unlock? Well, I didn't have the suspension. Now in this game, I either burned free XP on the suspension or I'm using the enhanced suspension module, can't remember which. But I didn't have the suspension unlocked, obviously, and I didn't have the top 105mm gun unlocked. Now the reason why I might have burnt some free XP on the suspension or used the enhanced suspension module is that the weight allowance of the stock suspension does not allow you to mount the top engine, which I had from the Panther, and the L71 gun at the same time, and there was no way in hell I was playing this thing with either the short 88 or the gun from the Stug. The other thing is my crew. Because I kept the JPanther 4 at tier 6, my crew is not particularly good in this machine. Now, on getting the crew I did, if memory serves, play some games in kind of my Dicamax and whatnot, to train them up before they went in this thing, train them up a bit, but they're a 90-something% crew on the first qualification. I think one of the crew members I yoinked from somewhere else, and so he has camouflage crew skill at some percentage, but the rest have nothing. They're not a particularly fantastic crew. And this is one of the first games that I played in the JPanther. So, the game itself, we're top tier, which is nice, and we are here on... I've done a review of this map and I can't remember what it's called. Lakeville. There we go. Now, initially, HE round. Hello, Mr. Hellcat. Initially, you could see that I didn't really have anything to shoot at in the first instance, and the valley looked like it was being pushed, so I thought I'd come around and do something about it. You could see there that I loaded a HE round to put a shed ton of damage into the Hellcat. Now, this is an 88mm HE round. It's not the best high explosive in the world. 295 average damage and 44 pen. Hellcat has like 16mm of hull armor, so dealt a metric shed ton of damage to him with that. And I'd put some damage into some people before, but you can see that our team is not doing particularly well. In fact, we are quite badly losing this. We've got a Sherman there engaged with their T28 HTC. I'm not worried about the T28 shooting me in the bum because he's a very slow machine. So I'm going to try and protect our Sherman's backside. Put a shot into the T34 there. I mean, this is just a pair of tier 5s, and indeed our Sherman takes out the PZSFL. It was just a pair of tier 5s, but they can still give the Sherman Easy 8 some problems. The Easy 8 is not a tank particularly renowned for its armour, unlike its brother, the Jumbo, also at tier 6. T34 really gets a little optimistic. He does manage to put a round into me, but I put a much larger round into him. Unfortunately, enemy artillery nails our Easy 8, which leaves me alone against that rather too incautious T34, and also the T28 heavy tank concept, who is on 3 kills, and of course this is boggy, swampy terrain. Now clearly boggy, swampy terrain is going to do both of us a bit of a disservice, as it will take us ages to get anywhere, but the T28 HTC is rather slow. Slower than the JPanther. So we're now going to play a rather strange game of Ring-a-Ring-a-Roses around this lump of rock as I try and find the T28 HTC. So here we go. Come on. Now the scoreline is 6-9. We are losing this. Got 1 kill so far. And our team is just pushing on towards the enemy base with not really very much regard for things going on around them. And you can see they're dying. Oh, someone managed to nail a Cromwell. Congratulations. The Cromwell's armour, I bet, made that so difficult to do. So really wondering where that T28 HTC has gotten to at this point, and there we go. He came around looking for me, I went around looking for him. Now those little machine gun ports on the side of the tank are weak. That was an interesting bounce. They are a weak spot on the machine, so that's where I am aiming. And that was hit a bit of like terrain or something. Swampy, boggy terrain. This T28 HTC is really struggling to turn himself around in all this. And so I can just humiliate him Poor guy, I did feel sorry for this chap. One more shot should do the job. There we go. We kill the T28. Now, to give credit to the rest of my team, they've actually pulled the score lines back rather, and so the score line is now actually 10-10. So, like I say, credit where credit is due. But it's okay because there are camping tank destroyers to end their little adventure. And there's a Scorpion, preloading a HE round for my next shot, because the Scorpion has count them, 1 millimeter of armor, all round. This is, of course, the Tier 7 Premium Tank Destroyer. There we go, we polish him off. That is the Scorpion. So there we go, we managed to nuke him, and he didn't actually put a single shot into me. That was a bad engagement for him. Very bad. I basically had the drop on him. It was just how we ended up meeting. If that had happened 10 seconds later, I would also have been moving, and you know, it perhaps wouldn't have gone as much in my favour. Having said that, I have armour that is capable of potentially bouncing a shot from his. My gun auto-matches his armour literally everywhere. Every gun in the game auto-matches the Scorpion everywhere. That's the thing with the Scorpion, it cannot bounce. And I'm not exaggerating, with 1 millimeter of armour, every gun in this game, including Tier 1 autocannons, completely overmatches the armour in every location. The best you can hope for is to get your tracks absorb a shot or something. OI off away in the distance, 150mm of frontal armour, 203mm of armour piercing penetration. So I think I get the best of that engagement. M41 HMC, can't remember off the top of my head how much health that guy has. I was thinking 250, so I load a HE round to try and nail the kill. It's 230, but either way, there's the kill, and there's the game. So, despite our team being rather down initially, we did eventually manage to pull this one back. Let's go and have a look at those results. So as it turned out, that ended up being a pretty nice result for the JPanther, especially considering this was literally one of my first games in it. Maybe my first game? I can't actually remember. Ace Tanker, Reaper, Fighter, Master Gunner, Fire for Effect, and a High Caliber medal. 3,416 damage done, 5 kills, 1,226 base experience, and you can see that I also completed Tank Destroyer mission number 11 for the T-55A, which required 3,000 damage to be done, which I achieved in the Tier 7, which was quite nice. 18 shots fired, 17 hits, 16 pens for that damage count, received 6 hits, bounced half of them, spotted 1 tank, damaged 8, killed 5, 97 assistance damage, made a 28,500 credit profit, and that was with a standard account, times 3 experience event on at the time, so made a nice amount of experience, and we weren't bush camping the whole time, so that ended up being quite a fun game in the JPanther, and the JPanther really has grown on me. I do think it's a rather capable machine. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that pair of games in not fully upgraded tank destroyers with sometimes kind of rubbish crews. If you did, by all means feel free to catch some of my other videos and or subscribe to my channel, and I wish you very happy hunting on that battlefield. Ciao ciao.